Good afternoon, comrades. Thank you for coming along this afternoon to what is a momentous day for the Workers' Party. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce Party President Michael Donnelly to open today's session.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate the Dublin region, Dublin City region and branches for organising this conference. And it's a fitting place to see the rejuvenation and the relaunch of the party in the Dublin region in a place that not very long ago saw an attempt to end the party. So this is a good time to meet. And to say that we live in strange times. Times where the elite, the wealthy, privileged cronies of capital, once again strut and preen their stuff around the streets of Ireland, as if nothing had happened, and that the pain and the miseries heaped upon and borne by ordinary working class people and their families is not directly attributable to their obscene wealth-making strategies, that they are not the perpetrators of this crisis. And why do they do this? Well, despite the crisis that followed on from the 2007-2008 crash, today, more than ever before, the owners of capital have witnessed it surge to new and unprecedented levels, adding ever new heights to their power, to their privilege, and to their wealth. Workers and families, on the other hand, are still condemned disproportionately to bear the burdens of the debt and the wage decreases that quickly followed sharp on the heels of that crisis, and to endure quite frightening feeling of precariousness that also accompanied it. As well as that, and indeed from the very moment that the crisis happened, the sickening realisation that successive governments were refusing to confront the real villains of the piece, the local as well as the international capital merchants. Rather, they wheeled around and they fixed their sights firmly on and vigorously attacked the innocent workers and their families. In doing that, they used every available opportunity, every tool in their armoury to frighten and intimidate working people, to threaten the direst of consequences if the policies they were prescribing were not adhered to. The end result? Those who caused the crisis got their money back, while those who suffered had to suffer more. It could not but be so. Why? I think you know the answer to that. You don't need me to tell you. For in the final analysis, whenever there is a crisis causing conflict between the masters of capital and the interests of workers, governments know exactly where its interest lies. It cannot but be so. And why would it be any different under the present regime of Fine Gael and Labour? And the answer to that, well, we know that too. We know that the only successful answer in the long term must be the achievement of a true workers' republic. Let's not ever forget that. For we are not reformists. We are the party seeking to bring in the radical changes that will ultimately and truly be the revolutionary ones that will end this charade that defiles all that we hold to be morally just and worthy. For that's what we are about. It's our essence. That's why we are here today. It's precisely to help achieve that end that today's discussions are indeed being held. And of course, we are more conscious than ever that as we stand here today, we are at a key moment in the history of capitalism. Despite its enormous accumulation of both liquid and material resources, it is increasingly being challenged by its own internal contradictions. Note, for example, the fact that despite its relatively quick recovery from the 2007-2008 crisis, and its ability to greedily drive its profits upwards, none of that new capital has found its way towards creating new jobs, anything resembling that for workers and their families. Indeed, there is overwhelming evidence that the holders of these almost obscene levels of capital funds, investment funds, are simply unwilling to make any commitment to long-term investment strategies, the types that can create and deliver long-term and viable forms of employment. They are now predisposed towards and content to focus upon projects that deliver quick time, quick returns, with little or no overexposure or risk to their capital. These latter type investments rarely, if ever, require any labour at all. So capitalism now faces a situation where its instinctive drive towards maximising profit is also helping to create a social situation where ever greater hardship and dissatisfaction is forced upon workers and their families, as well as those who have retired, and all of those who lack sufficient material resources to be independent of capital, if indeed anyone can ever really be so. Such a situation cannot be maintained indefinitely. It is also one that is filled with enormous, quite radical possibilities. There is a massive discontent out there. We are part of that discontent. We know that from the ongoing public resistance to the government's attempts to force through the privatisation of water. But we also know that such discontent, without clear guidance, without expert direction, can be deliberately diverted away from what is the essential class nature of the current crisis and taken in directions doomed to fail in the long term, leaving little more than a working class that is disillusioned, disorganised, disheartened and defeated. A major part of our task is to ensure that this is not allowed to happen, that it does not happen. For if, as many of us now believe, that we stand in the midst of a new, indeed unprecedented and enormously important historical juncture, as far as capitalism and its fate is concerned, then we need to know clearly what it is that we need to do, and how, and by what means we are going to do it. We also know that we are part of a historical process of change, that nothing stands still, that nothing lasts forever, not even capitalism. But we are sufficiently aware to know also that capitalism will not fall by its own volition. There is no inevitable force that will topple it. It will fall only when it is confronted, challenged, and eventually overthrown by its own arch nemesis, organised workers in revolt. And if we have learned anything at all from Lenin, we surely know the necessary role of a disciplined, organised, class-conscious vanguard party. Without such a party leading the revolution, it simply will not happen. But it also means that such a party must do more than merely lead. It must also be inseparably, consciously part of the very people it seeks to lead. Its members must invariably be drawn from their ranks, be deeply involved in their daily struggles and discourses, and be their voice always. It is that which gives legitimacy, that which gives meaning, that which makes the party truly a workers' party. And we see ourselves as that party, justifiably so. That is why we're here today. And a major part of our task is to give clear leadership to the class that we represent. So what is our role in the current juncture of capitalism? Well, in the short to medium term, the first part of our historical task is to convince workers and their families and their allies that we do have the will, the knowledge, and the resources to free them forever from their historical bondage to capitalism, that we are capable of leading them to victory. The second part is to mobilise them, to guide and lead them on the road to social and economic freedom. But we're no fools. We know only too well there are no quick fix solutions, no mantras that can be invoked as substitutes for hard-based class analyses and actions. No theatrics can ever substitute for real actions. And we know also, of course, that the road to that freedom, the path to that freedom, is made up more of short, frequent steps than of bold, gigantic leaps. It will not be the stuff of drama. It won't be sudden, it won't be rapid, nor will it be easy. But it must be done. It will be done. It's tasked to ensure that it is done. And today represents a small but vital part of those steps forward that will make that happen. It is part of the struggle to take those strange times that I alluded to in the entry, to take those strange times we live in and have them remembered in history as the time when workers successfully resisted, the time when capitalism was finally overthrown. Thank you, comrades.